There are over 34 different guns in Counter-Strike 2, but what if I told you that Valve has actually removed a lot of different weapons from the game? So today, we're gonna go over every single gun that has been cut from the Counter-Strike franchise. Starting with number 15, we have the Spaz 12. This was supposed to be a placeholder for the XM1014 during a early build of Counter-Strike Condition Zero deleted scenes. You can actually see one of the AI holding it during the trailer for the game, and the model is actually a carbon copy of Half-Life's version of the gun. Next up, we have the M60. This LMG also appears in deleted scenes, but was cut from the original Counter-Strike and its Xbox version. The cost of the weapon was going to be $5,000 and have a 100-round magazine. It was also available on both the CT and T side and took a whopping 6 seconds to reload. The main feature of the weapon was the longer it was fired from a fixed position, the more accurate the gun would get, similar to the old Negev. At number 13, we have the TMP. This was an SMG that you could only purchase on the CT side. It was featured in every single game in the Counter-Strike series, but with the release of CSGO, it was replaced by the MP9. The main difference between these two versions of weapons was the fact that the silenced version didn't do as much damage, but it had much faster movement speed. Next, we have the K&M submachine gun, most commonly known as the MP5. This SMG was also featured in every single game in the Counter-Strike series, except for CSGO and CS2. However, for some reason, Valve would replace it with a worse version known as the MP5 SD. What made the K&M so unique was the fact that it was the most accurate SMG alongside the UMP45, but it also had some major disadvantages like low damage and low armor penetration. At number 11, we have the HK69. This was a single-shot grenade launcher cut from the early stages of the Counter-Strike beta. Evidence of this gun almost making it into the game include kill icons found within the game files. Its price was not yet defined, and its ammo was still being determined by the developers. But this wasn't the only grenade launcher to be cut from Counter-Strike. The second RPG to be cut was the M79, or also known as the Thumper, and this originated from Rogue Entertainment's build of Counter-Strike Condition Zero. Not much is known about this weapon, other than the fact that it was useful for hard to reach corners, allowing its users to easily flush out snipers from certain positions. And the final grenade launcher that actually made it into the game was the M72 Law. This RPG appears in the campaign version of Counter-Strike and was cut from 1.6 and Counter-Strike Condition Zero. If it would have released in the multiplayer version, its cost would have been $1,200 and it would have dealt 125 damage. It had the ability to take out multiple enemies in one shot, however, you had to make it count because you could only buy one per round. And on top of that, it took up all the grenade slots in your inventory, which might be balanced if it released in today's game, but also a little bit broken. At number 8, we have my favorite gun on this list, which is the Scar 17. This was supposed to be CSGO's main rifle that you could buy on the CT side, which meant that it was supposed to replace the M4A4. If you take a look at the differences in stats between the two weapons, you can see that they're pretty much the same. However, the Scar has higher accuracy rates while standing, crouching, and firing over time, but significantly worse accuracy when moving. The craziest part is that if you take a look at the logo for Global Offensive, you can see the person holding a Scar-like weapon. But sadly, before CSGO could even make it out of beta, it was cut from the game. At number 7, we have the Magnum Pistol. This was a cut revolver that originated from Rogue Entertainment's build of Counter-Strike Condition Zero. According to an article by Computer Gaming World, it was a high-powered revolver that would provide a cheaper alternative to the Desert Eagle. Its cost was going to be less than $650 and available on both the CT and T side. After Gearbox Software took over the development of Counter-Strike Condition Zero, the idea of this weapon was completely dropped until the release of the R8 revolver in 2015. At number 6, we have the Pancor Jackhammer. This was a gas-operated 12-gauge shotgun with a revolving magazine that had 10 shots in it. This gun has been used in other Counter-Strike games like Nexon and Counter-Strike Online, but sadly this was cut before the final release of Condition Zero. Next up, we have the last shotgun that was cut from the Counter-Strike franchise, and that was the double barrel shotgun. This was supposed to release in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. The only time this gun is mentioned is in the config files of the game, but unfortunately there were never any textures or models made for the gun. At number 4, we have the compact compound bow. This unreleased weapon was added to CSGO's game files in 2016. According to the game files, the bow had a very unique feature, and that was the ability to attach grenades to the arrows. These grenades included the flashbang, HE, incendiary, smoke, and tactical awareness grenade. The second instance of a bow-like weapon being mentioned in the game files for Counter-Strike is the automatic crossbow. The first reveal of this weapon was in a magazine cover by Computer Gaming World. According to the article, the auto crossbow would fire poison-tipped bolts and damage players' health over time. It would also jerk the player around randomly, causing a massive decrease in accuracy. The model would also be inspired by Half-Life's version of the weapon and would have been the first gun in the series to deal damage over time and cause uncontrolled screen shaking for the player. However, this idea was completely dropped when Gearbox Software took over the development of Counter-Strike Condition Zero. At number 2, we have the Sig SG3000. This sniper rifle was planned for the original Counter-Strike beta, but the weapon was never released. This gun was originally revealed on the official Counter-Strike website back in 1998, but before the beta, it was replaced by the G3 SG1, and according to its official description, it had the ability to one-shot headshot, but not one-shot to the body. And at number 1, we have the TAC-21. This was also a unreleased bolt-action sniper that was added to CSGO's game files in 2014. The first mention of the weapon was the sound of the gun being added to the game files, but sadly, every one of these files was removed from the game in 2016.